What is going on, everybody? This is the Aqcess podcast, your home for sports in the Queen City and across the Carolinas. I'm joined today by Mackie. Mackie, how are you doing today, buddy?
I am doing good. I am happy to be back. I apologize that it's been months since we've done an episode together, and I apologize that I still bring the bad juju for the technology. I don't understand what happens when I sit down behind this microphone, but what is it? Your computer just doesn't want to work.
Yeah, my computer
didn't. And I'm not trying to hold anything back. I won't hold anything back because you didn't hold anything back. You straight up said, it's not me, it's not Gray, it's you.
Yeah,
You're the problem, referring to me.
Yeah, it was 100% you, not me.
Oh, well, dude.
You could.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like I updated my computer. All right.
Hey man, don't be responsible.
I don't know if basically what this monologue is about is how every single time Bradley and I try to do an episode together, we get all set up at like 7:40, 7:45. Everything connects. We can hear each other's levels, and then the moment we're about to go live, just all sorts of stuff starts hitting the fan. And so in preparation of this, I brought my computer, which I haven't really opened in a while, to work, updated it so that way I knew I had plenty of time to update it and it'll be working for tonight's podcast. I even texted Bradley. I said, growth is bringing your computer to work so that way you can ensure that you have 8 hours to update your computer that you haven't used in months. I did my job. I made sure the technology was working on my end. I understand that you're blaming me because it's worked for the past few weeks with Gray, but honestly, dude, I think it's not me. I think it's you. What kind of technology are you using over there at your desk?
Okay, listen, my abacus was running a little slow today. I was trying to do some cave paintings, carve into some stone, and it was my fault. Okay, it was my fault. But
okay,
you're still the one to blame. It's a 50-50 split because that's what it is. It's just me and you and the chat today. Nick's already in here saying it's always Mackie's fault because that's 100% true. It is Mackie's fault.
Nick hurts me. Nick just he will take any chance to side with anyone who just wants to degrade me in any way, whether it's serious or not. And honestly, like I'm not going to pretend that my feelings aren't hurt right now. You know,
there's something you need to learn
for issues constantly. Just it takes a toll, Bradley. It takes a toll.
You cannot blame others for your mistakes, and that's something you'll learn in life. And it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's okay.
Didn't you just do that to? Never. All right, let's talk about sports. You did exactly. All right. I'm done because you're being a hypocrite right now. You're being a hypocrite. Stop before I cry. Stop before I cry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because my feelings are very hurt.
We're gonna get okay.
Fragile. Let's talk. Thank you.
We're gonna get into sports because today was the first day of joint practices. We're gonna get into a lot of things, but one of the things that's burning on everyone's mind right now is that it's the first day of joint practices. They were in pads. You know, the depth chart came out yesterday. Camp Confidential came out. A lot of people have seen that. A lot of people haven't seen it yet, but it was fantastic if you haven't seen Camp Confidential from the Carolina Panthers. It's actually something really cool. I just want to talk about that for a second. Camp Confidential is something that's really cool. It's definitely a behind-the-scenes experience. You get to see the player's personality outside of just helmet on the field, whether they're like really into the game or they have like a big personality on the field. It gives you a behind-the-scenes look at some of the rookies that came in. Christian McCaffrey has a pretty big a couple big moments in Camp Confidential this year. Mac, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but what do you think of Camp Confidential? Are you all about it?
I know you're trying to segue and be nice, but no, you know I haven't seen it because when I said I didn't see it, you yelled at me. You yelled at me, Bradley.
Good.
It is very. I'm about to say it is very good. I have not seen Camp Confidential. I've seen the draft version of it, which I absolutely loved. I watched it on my lunch break one time at work. Good. It was fantastic, and that's one thing that I'm loving about the Panthers right now is I'll say this all the time. I'll compliment their digital team, their social media team, the whole 9 yards. Haha, football reference. But with the Carolina Panthers and this behind-the-scenes stuff, I was pretty sad when I realized that Hard Knocks wasn't going to follow the Carolina Panthers. Of course, they're going to choose the Dallas Cowboys because that's America's team. And the whole story with Dak Prescott will be pretty cool. I'm a Dak fan. He got paid after that big injury. It will be fun and like entertaining seeing what's going on in that camp. But with the Panthers not getting Hard Knocks, not with all the offseason moves, with the new quarterback question again, and then with them leading into Sam Darnold versus the Jets, like in week 1, I just thought that would be a good ending or a good last few episodes for Hard
Agreed.
Knocks. But with the Camp Confidential, it's nice because it's like, all right, cool. We don't need Hard Knocks. We don't need the all or nothing or whatever, because our very own team, our very own employees of the team are doing just as much as the production teams for these franchises with Amazon or with HBO, to where it's much more personal, I feel like, because they're getting, of course, everything is behind the scenes, but it's just nice when it's all like kind of in-house the way it is. I definitely still have to see Camp Confidential, but I love how the Panthers constantly try to find new ways to keep fans engaged with stuff that just happens every year. Training camp is the beginning of football. Like, that's the beginning to where the players are back. You're starting to smell the roses as a football fan. The draft is over. The rookies are in pads. Everyone's hyped to get the season started, just like they did with the schedule release video. They're great things to just do milestones during the off season of the NFL, but they want to keep their fans engaged in ways that I'm not seeing many other teams do. I mean, I don't follow the digital teams of many other NFL teams, but I don't actively see other social teams promoting such behind-the-scenes films or content the way the Panthers are.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree that they do a top-notch level of that. And that, that starts from everything they do, from the one-on-one interviews that they do after the practices to, like you said, these behind the scenes, the schedule release video. They do a really good job, and other people notice it too. Like, I've seen people that do not follow the Carolina Panthers that are like, you know what, I'm going to cheer for them just because that video was so cool, which I think is awesome. I love the fact that they are building. I mean, I think the Panthers might still, and don't hate me for saying this, I think the Panthers are still behind culturally as a fan group. I feel like in stadium atmosphere is not where it should be, based off of the interactions that I have with people on the streets or on Twitter or on social media. I feel like it's a sit-down venue when you go to a Carolina Panthers stadium. Hopefully, this behind-the-scenes look, making you feel one-on-one with the team, will lead into a better atmosphere in the stadium, because I think players thrive on that. You're coming out of COVID, they're going to need that. Hopefully that there's some excitement happening in the stadium this year.
And let's talk about the atmosphere in the stadium real quick, because I feel I feel like with COVID happening, and there was some games last year, I went to a few with my guy Nick in the chat that were limited capacity, but with COVID last year, I think people kind of realize how much fans inside of a stadium means to sports. Like, when someone, I love the bubble. We talked about that on the NBA bubble. There were so many insane shots and great plays. I mean, there are always amazing moments in the NBA playoffs, but when you're in a bubble, we are watching the best basketball players in the world play with no distractions. So we're probably going to see them at a different level than we would if they're playing like a game 6 or 7 away. But it's weird seeing a long run to a touchdown with no fans in the background. It's weird seeing a huge three late in the game and all you hear are the shoes squeaking. And so as fans with COVID and especially PSL owners and other people that are used to going to every game every season, I'm sure they are aching to get back into Panther Stadium or Bank of America Stadium, and they are aching to make some noise when big moments happen. One thing with the Panthers that I got to remind myself as a young fan and just as a person, the Panthers are still one of the 2 youngest teams in the NFL. They became a franchise in 1995. You are getting people like me to where they are the first generation to grow up in North Carolina, to where they had the Carolina Panthers in their life the entire time. I've been a Panther fan my whole life, but one of the first memories I have as a Panther fan was when I was 6 years old and they were in that first Super Bowl in 2003. And I remember we had friends and family over. I just remember little bits and pieces of that night. Was I watching the game intently every second? No, because I was probably playing hide and seek with some of my kid friends that were there. But there are people that are like my parents' generation or a little bit older than me, to where they were in North Carolina. Exactly. They were in North Carolina where they didn't have a football team. So you had to cheer for the Washington, at the time, Redskins, but now the football team. And then you had a lot of 49ers fans, the Steelers, the Dallas Cowboys, all these national teams. And so right now, as a Panther fan base, they are still trying to, like you said, create that culture in North Carolina, to where when it is a Panther home game, you want it to be a Panther home game. Yeah. I remember my senior year of high school or junior year, I went to a Sunday night football game and it was the Panthers versus Steelers. When the Steelers ran out with the amount of terrible towels that were waving through the air, you would have thought we were in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field.
Yep.
It was absolutely madness. But I remember at some of the games we went to when Nick and I went to the Denver Broncos games. There were like 2,500 fans there, and it was getting pretty loud. So I think people are realizing how much fans mean to a game, whether it's football, whether it's basketball. And I'm super excited to get back, and I'm super excited to see what the Panthers do to welcome fans back. Now that the stadium is back at full capacity. And 100%. I don't know if you heard this, but I think some fans started joining the Panther fan base whenever we were hyping up that Panthers digital and social team. I think they went a couple months ago, back in October, whenever they posted this guy in the mirror trying to teach people how to do the Panther growl. I feel like that kind of changed the wave of how many people are becoming Panther fans. I don't know who that guy was, but I think just being able to accurately describe how to do the first down celebration, the best first down celebration in the NFL, I think that just appealed to people and just wanted them to cheer for the team in the black and blue.
Can we get it one time?
Ooh, that was a quick one. Y'all only get a quick one right now.
That was a quick one. Oh man, no, I absolutely love it, and yeah, I think the culture is changing, and I have to agree. I had a meeting with some people the other day, and we were talking and discussing some things about it. With exactly what you said. You hit the nail on the head. That all of our parents were probably Cowboys fans, the Washington fans, and there was a lot of transplant people, and I think the younger group is starting to want to make some noise. They've gone through college. Most of these people have gone through college. They've seen the college football atmosphere. People roaring riot. Zach does a wonderful job with the roaring riot and getting these fans riled up and creating a culture there. Bring back the buzz. They've kind of converted. They've become the crown club for the Hornets. And so I think there's going to be a huge revival for a lot of these sports teams and the fans to have something to cheer about. And I'm here for it because, Mackie, this Panthers team's shaping up to be a very good team this year. I know you heard and you made fun of me that I said we're going to go 17-0. I wholeheartedly believe it, and I'm always a reserved fan. I have no doubts that this team's going to start 7-0, and in turn, they're going to go on the road to 17-0. But this is a very young team. There's a lot to be excited about. Have you been keeping up with camp? Have you been keeping up with everything that's been going on in these practices?
I will admit that the way I've been keeping up is pretty much just checking Twitter throughout the day.
As most people.
Seeing what the writers, like with the people I follow who are on the digital team, and just seeing what videos are being posted. And I like some of the stuff that we're seeing from our off-season acquisitions as well as our rookies. Yeah. I'm super excited. I like how young the team is. I like how there are some veterans on the team that can provide that veteran experience, that veteran leadership. But also with some of these young guys on the team, they're playing as if they've already been veterans. One thing I really like that it's not really play on the field. I don't really know the substance of this, but Dante Jackson, I saw one day to where he kept like the secondary group or the defense on the field. And I remember the people that I followed on Twitter were saying they couldn't make out what Dante Jackson was saying, but you could tell that he was putting passion behind the words that he was speaking to his teammates. And he's going into his third year, which is I'm pretty sure it's his third year, which is a big year for cornerbacks in the NFL. He has shown that he can be a good asset in the backfield, and he is also one of the remaining Panthers during this change. He's supposed to be a staple in the secondary with the addition of J.C. Horn and A.J. Bouye and a couple others. I think we're going to see Dante Jackson shine, but it's nice seeing some of these young players that are starting to enter their second, third, or fourth season in the NFL start to take on a leadership role, although they are not really at that veteran status yet. And that's one thing that I'm really liking in Charlotte sports as a whole, because I know we'll talk a little bit of Hornets later. I love the chemistry that the Queen City sports teams are showing among each other.
Yeah, agreed. And you hit the nail on the head with one guy in particular, and that's Dante Jackson that I wanted to bring up because coming out of college, it's not that I was worried about him. It was that he came off very confident, which you have to be as a cornerback or as a defensive back. You're going man to man. I'm better than you. I can take you. I can beat you. You have to have that kind of swagger out there. I don't think he lived up to that hype that he had, that swagger. And I didn't want him to get burned out, but I feel like over the years, and someone, I think it was Jeremy Igo, who made the point that, or Bill Voth actually, made the point that becoming a father made him a better leader. He's matured immensely, and I agree. I think that he is a vocal leader on a team that currently lacks a lot of very vocal leadership. I think Dante Jackson has absolutely turned that corner, and I hope that he can get these guys working. I hope he takes J.C. Horn under his wing, be like, hey, here's what I learned. I'm 3 years in. Let's work together. Let's make this thing better. And I think that's what it is. He went from a me. Not to say that he was wrong. Maybe I'm taking it incorrectly, but going from me to, hey, we need to get better. And I think that leadership has done tremendous things for him. And you talked about bringing in some other assets like Morgan Fox that's come in here. I think he's going to be a fantastic leader on that defensive line. He's already, brought Derek Brown under his wing and said, hey, listen, here's what we need to be doing. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see specifically this defense and the leadership that brought in. Nick says, only if it's Shaq Thompson specific, in reference to Austin Pants wanting to come in here and talk Panthers hate. There is no hate in here. We are not talking hate on this podcast. If you're in the chat, drop some positive vibes only. But Mackie, I think some positive vibes is going to be these veteran leaders that are coming in. Is there one that you really want to see this year take over?
Yes. So Dante Jackson. One more point on him.
Oh yeah.
I think with Dante too. I mean, I don't believe he was a first round pick. I don't have any notes in front of me tonight, but I believe he was an early round pick the year he was drafted. And so a lot of pressure was put on him in a time in a secondary that was constantly has a different rotation for the last couple of years. And now you bring in AJ Boye. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that last name. AJ. He comes in. I think he has a few game suspension at the beginning of the year. But then you bring in J.C. Horn as well. So now as a secondary, you're kind of the Panthers are locking themselves down as like a core group, not separate pieces finding out which position they play best. They are establishing where they're at on the field, where they're best at on the field. And now I feel like you're going to see more of a group effort with second. Not saying that, of course, every game there's a group effort, but you are establishing what your secondary is. You're getting because James Bradbury I thought was going to be one of a solid corners for the Panthers. He was here. He's doing great in New York where he got paid. But ever since James Bradbury left, we've kind of been lacking that primary guy in our secondary. I see J.C. Horn turning into that. And then now with that, you have Dante Jackson, which his speed is what makes him so lethal out there. And he has hops. He has that one interception last year to where it's a still picture, and it looks like he's 12 feet off the ground. And then you added a couple people in with the draft and in the offseason. So now I feel like the pressure and the responsibilities are more evenly spread around a more talented group, which is making me very, very hopeful for the defense that pretty much was establishing themselves as a very solid group the second half of last season. Yeah. And I think the struggles in the first half was strictly new coaching.
100%. With the COVID shortened off season as well for that coaching staff.
And like people got to remember too, like the record doesn't show it, but the Panthers were competitive in virtually every game. There were like two games to where the Panthers were out of it for more than a quarter. Yeah. The rest, the Panthers stayed with it. And as a fan looking at this and seeing how young the Panthers are, last year gave me so much. Of course, you want the W, but once you realize you're not making that playoffs and you're in the playoffs, and you kind of see how your team is still doing, and then you see the off-season people we got. Let's talk about some of them. The two I'm most excited for. These are the free agent acquisitions. Yeah. Hassan Reddick. On the other side is Brian Burns.
It's gonna be nasty.
And Hassan Reddick is coming off a career year in sacks in Arizona, and then you have Brian Burns, who multiple media outlets have come out saying Brian Burns can easily be a sleeper for Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. I don't think you're going to see people, but the way he's been playing, he's gained 12 or 13 pounds of pure muscle with how quick he has moves, but it's like the game against the Saints last year where I think he got 2 sacks on Drew Brees. One of them was a fumble that the Panthers recovered. He is just quick, and he just dips his shoulder, and
he gets after
people can't get him.
His get off is quick.
And the blindside tackle for the Saints that they just paid. He's one of the highest paid offensive linemen ever. Something Ramchick. Both of those sacks that Burns got was on him, and they just gave him money. So he did that against one of the best offensive linemen money wise in the league. And then Dan Arnold, I mentioned him. I remember we talked about this a while back. You saw the video during the draft confidential, I believe, where it showed Dan Arnold's agent negotiating with
Fitterer and
with
Rule.
Scott Fitterer, and then I don't remember his name, but he was in charge of like the finances for the teams.
Yep.
And I will say, listening to an agent and like another team's discussion, like just listening to like the business aspect of the game, that agent worked his ass off, and he deserves to get paid too because he sold Dan Arnold immensely. And Dan Arnold is going to be a tight end. He has that tight end stature. I am seeing nothing but great things between Sam Darnold and Dan Arnold. I'm so ready to hear broadcasters say that.
100%.
But I believe. But I've seen that in the red zone, Sam Darnold and Dan Arnold have just been like that, like just automatic. Every pass is being completed. Dan Arnold, he has speed, he can block, he has hands. We have Ian Thomas, which might be similar to Dante Jackson in regards of kind of expected a little more early on. The talent's there. The talent's there. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of how it is with Dante Jackson. Like, I like these players. I think they're talented. But now that it's not like they're solely relied on. Like, Ian Thomas was tight end number one. But now that you have Dan Arnold and then Thomas Tremble, who we got from Notre Dame, and then that brings the competition aspect now comes in, which is going to make everybody better. But I've told Nick and I've told you multiple times, Dan Arnold and Hassan Reddick are those two free agent all-season acquisitions, which I think I'm excited for. And we got AJ Bouye, Morgan Fox.
I cannot wait to see all these guys. And I mean, even Josh Scott in the chat says, getting Reddick was huge for us. And 100% agree, because now you have multiple threats and you have people that you can change in. You can keep legs fresh. They'll go deeper into games. You talked about closing out and taking a turn halfway through the season last year. Don't forget, this Panthers team threw a shutout against the Detroit Lions. Devontae Adams kind of tore him up in the first half of that game against Green Bay. And then I think in the second half, he had one catch for 7 yards, one catch for 3 yards.
And against Arizona, our defense held DeAndre Hopkins to 4 receptions, 47 yards. Like we held star receivers in this league with a young secondary.
Exactly. For as bad as we all thought this secondary could be and was at times, which they were very bad at times, we get that. They did a great job down the stretch. And one guy in particular is Jermaine Carter Jr. that Josh Scott brought.
Josh Scott.
So Jermaine Carter Jr., I think we definitely have to give him a lot of attention because Perriman has still not hit the field. He looks a little dinged up, even though everyone thought he was going to be the middle linebacker. Shaq Thompson's probably going back to outside, according to the depth chart, going back to outside linebacker. I think Jermaine Carter and Christian Miller, who sat out last year for COVID-19, are going to have to step up in a big way because that linebacking core is the biggest concern that I have. It goes from the rush defense that we had last year, now converting it to that linebackers of, hey, you got to play up. You got to make your tackles. Jeremy Chin's now a safety. He'll float. But that linebacking core has got to get it together. And it starts with Jermaine Carter Jr. and stepping up in a big way. And like he said, Matt Rule has nothing but good things to say about him. So I want to see him make some serious strides this year.
And you saw a significant improvement in the defense whenever Jermaine Carter started getting the majority of the reps rather than Tahir Whitehead.
What a waste. What a waste. I mean, don't get me wrong. Veteran, he was good. He showed his leadership at times. I get it. I get why the move was made. But that was a horrible move. Everyone could see that he was a step slower than everyone else on the field when he came on. So
yeah,
I think,
But one thing about this new coaching staff was adjustments. I loved it. And Austin Pants, no, absolutely not. Shaq is the heart and soul of the defense. Contractually, he is. The heart and soul of the defense is solely Brian Burns or Jeremy Chin after a single year.
Yeah.
Jeremy Chin, Shaq Thompson is good, but contractually, no.
Yeah.
Jeremy Chin, within his first year, I think he is beloved by this Panther fan base. But who knows? It's a brand new year, and who knows what could happen? I still like Shaq Thompson, but Shaq Thompson is one of those veterans on the defense who's kind of been through this transitionary period. Yep. But no, Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, I believe, is more of the heart and soul of the defense,
I think,
and more revolves around their success.
Yep.
Than Shaq Thompson. And also, I'm not sure about this. Hassan Reddick, could he possibly move between linebackers and defensive line?
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll use him.
Like he might be.
Yeah, I would assume that they kind of float him in and out, keep Morgan Fox kind of more as your stationary defensive end, and put Reddick as just kind of a blitzing linebacker who's very good in coverage. But great year last year, huge sack potential, kind of has that Von Miller sack potential-esque where he just gets explosive off of the line. Josh Scott said he's not looking forward to playing Tom Brady twice a year. I don't think anyone is, but that NFC South is a lot easier this year than it has been in years past. You got no Breeze.
Yes.
You got the someone said today they think the Saints are going to be taking a slight step back. I said, excuse me, a slight step back. They have lost everything except Alvin Kamara.
They have put themselves in a cannon, turned it around, and shot themselves to the Florida Panhandle. They are. I don't know what kind of reference that was, but you know what I'm trying to say. But one thing that Nick said in the chat was Shaq can't tackle. That with the new defense, one thing that I liked with who the Panthers went out and got in the draft and in free agency were just tacklers. Yeah. Just get people that tackle. Just wrap them up at the ankles and bring them down. Yeah. There's no it's the missed tackles at levels 2 and 3 that really bothered me. Like a 7-yard run, a long run is gonna happen. The offensive line is going to do their jobs. The defense will not be in the right formation for it. Big plays are gonna happen. But once they get 7 yards and then they get 14 extra because you have 2-3 missed tackles, that's when it becomes a huge issue. One like Morgan Fox, Derek Brown. I'm so excited for him in year 2.
He looks good.
He ranks like top 3 in pretty much every rookie defensive line category last year. But he brought people. Just that big tree trunk of an arm can just wrap people up and bring them down. He's massive. He is Derek Brown. He's a big boy, and he gets the job done on the front line. Hassan Reddick, Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, Bouye from Jacksonville, J.C. Horn. That's one thing I liked when I watched more of his highlights and tape. After we drafted him, was that he just brings people down. Okay, cool. They got to catch on you. They got to run on you. When you get them, just bring them down. Just don't let them get extra.
Got to get off.
I'm super excited. I'm super excited.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of people, and I'm excited for the Bravion Davion backup behind Morgan Fox, Daquan Jones, Derek Brown. You got Bravion, right? And Davion. You have who?
Was that the guy from Iowa?
Possibly. I know one of them's from Baylor. That's all I know.
I feel bad. I should know this, but it was like our 5th or 6th round pick. We got somebody from Iowa, or one of the schools up there. I believe his last name was Dixon. He wore number 54. After watching him, I did not know of his name before the draft, but after watching him, I think he could be a good guy to come in and get the starters and the first and second string some rest throughout the game, but he can still, hold it down for himself.
Yeah, there's some.
We got depth. We got depth, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and it's good. There was so many holes that were needed. They're plugging it slowly, build them up, coach them up, and they're going to get where they need to be, because I have full faith in this coaching staff 100%. And Josh kind of hit the nail on the head here, because we are going to switch over to offense. Before we get into his question about Terrace Marshall, I just want to ask a quick question. It might elaborate into more. The quarterback issue. A lot of people are saying that the Panthers need to carry 3 quarterbacks versus 2 quarterbacks. How are you leaning? I don't want to open this up too big, because I know we're kind of keeping things a little bit shorter today, and I want to talk about Terrace Marshall, but 2 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks, and who are you rolling with?
Real quick, thank you, Josh. Nixon is a Hawk. I appreciate the confirmation.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. I'm right all the time. No, I'm just messing. So Sam Darnold, my thoughts on Sam Darnold. We did an episode. Yep. We did an episode after he was picked up. And dang, Big Ten Player of the Year, man! I feel I'm disrespecting him by not being sure if I was correct or not.
Look at David Brown coming in here and let you know, hey man, Big Ten Player, put some respect on it.
I like being held accountable. I like it, but not too much. It might hurt my feelings. But with Sam Darnold, one thing I liked is now after the draft and the different picks that we got throughout the draft in our trades, we pretty much got rid of a 2nd round pick for Sam Darnold, who is a 23-year-old, 3-year vet in the league. Yep. He has an arm that is proven to throw further than Teddy Bridgewater's. So, he's an upgrade at the quarterback position already. And we picked up that option, which is like $19 million. That's gonna happen. But with Sam Darnold, he's the most optimistic of the quarterbacks I have been post Cam Newton. I'm still a fan of PJ Walker. I know he threw 2 interceptions in the game last year, but he also got a win. The defense pitched the shutout in that Detroit game as well, like you said, so he got a huge help from the D. But honestly, 2-3 quarterbacks, as long as PJ Walker comes in before Will Grier, we can have any number of quarterbacks on the roster. Yeah. But right now, I think 2 QBs will suffice. I don't see, barring anything outrageous, I see Sam Darnold being the starter, of course, and then PJ Walker being second string.
My only concern is Sam Darnold hasn't, he's still young, so there's not a huge sample size, but he hasn't made it through a full season yet. He's had mono, COVID, injuries. So I think there is a need to have 3, but at the same time, you cannot sit here and tell me that you cannot find an equivalent of Will Grier out on the free market. This team needs to move forward with 2 quarterbacks. As much as I want them to carry 3, because I think they might need it at some point. We know what you have in PJ Walker. You know what you have in Sam Darnold, obviously. You can find someone that's the equivalent of Will Grier based on my limited vision of him on the field for this Carolina Panthers team. So
PJ Walker so far is 1-0 as a Panther quarterback. That's kind of how it was with Kyle Allen whenever he started like 3 or 4-0 whenever he came in after injury. Don't get me started on him. No, but here's the people were saying that Kyle Allen was the new leader of the quarterback. I wasn't saying all that, but as a quarterback, if you're winning, you deserve if you're winning and you're still backing up for whoever you're backing up, you deserve to get that start the next game. And so far, PJ Walker is undefeated as a Panther. So if his time is needed, I can kind of expect a win because he already proved it to us. But I like PJ Walker. I liked him with the Houston Roughnecks because here's what happened. The Houston Roughnecks of the XFL, he started the first game. He threw 4 interceptions. Oof, that's not good. And then he ended the season as the best quarterback in the XFL with the most yards, most touchdowns. In the NFL, first game, threw 2 interceptions. Oof, that's not good again. Both of them were in the end zone. I sigh. But the thing with PJ Walker, he still won. He still won. Mistakes are gonna happen. I've made a mistake walking into my front door. I about tripped over myself and dropped my tropical smoothie cafe. Sunrise, sunset. It's delicious. But I didn't. I saved myself. That's what PJ Walker did. He made some mistakes, but he still got the number one thing we all care about, and that's a W. And so, wins.
That's all you need.
I don't care how you get it. That's like the NBA playoffs that just passed. There were a few games, especially with the Hawks and Bucks, that were ugly. People were going 1 of 14 from the field. It's almost the end of the game. It's 86-84. I don't care if a game is the sloppiest game you've ever seen. If it's close at the end and my team gets a W, that's one of the best games I've ever seen. I like sloppy games. You just got to be slightly better or slightly less sloppy than the team on the other side of you. That's all that matters.
So disrespectful.
I want dubs.
Yeah, you got to get W's. David said 1 W would be trading Grier for a bag of footballs, just for the practice. That's so mean. We're gonna talk about a W, which is Terrace Marshall. Getting Terrace Marshall, I think, was a huge pickup for this team. It wasn't
traded up for him so that way the Saints wouldn't get him.
Yeah, rather than trade up for a Greg Little pick that Marty Hurney made a few years back, we traded up for someone, Terrace Marshall, who has been making absolute fantastic plays thus far. There's a lot of people that are early on saying watching a guy wear number 88 looks like a Michael Irvin out there. I'm not putting that on his nameplate yet, but I think he does look like a Mushin Muhammad, who is probably and arguably one of the most underrated or underappreciated Panthers in their very short history. He looks good. He's a physical guy. He goes up and gets it. He's a red zone target that this team is probably missing with a smaller DJ Moore and a thinner, just based off of quickness, Robbie Anderson. It's something that they absolutely need. And now you've already mentioned your love for Dan Arnold. Terrace Marshall, look out for him in the red zone to get some eyes off of loading the box against CMC. I think Terrace Marshall is a huge pickup for this team, and he's absolutely impressed. If you saw the camp highlights from today, he mossed someone today, and it looked good.
I like Terrace Marshall a lot. He has that wide receiver build. He's speedy. He has hands. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. Here's the thing. A couple of years ago, in the exact position that Terrace Marshall Jr. is in, there was somebody named Brent Burson. The fact that we went from Brent Burson to Terrace Marshall as our wide receiver 3, hallelujah. Terrace Marshall has the opportunity to be possibly the best receiver in the NFL that comes from Joe Burrow's LSU team.
Wow.
You know, Jamar Chase is going to get more targets. He is going to get more targets. He was the earlier pick. He's going to be more of a star on the team that he is on. But numbers-wise, yard-wise, Terrace Marshall Jr. was doing everything that all the other LSU receivers were doing during that era.
Yeah.
And the thing with Terrace Marshall Jr. that you see a lot with DJ Moore especially, which I think makes him criminally underrated, is the physicality they have when they're fighting for the ball and the fact that they go to the ball. They don't wait. Like DJ Moore, when you look at highlights from last season, DJ Moore, the little knock that people have on him is that he might not get as many touchdowns as other wide receiver ones in the league. Yeah. But he will be double or triple covered and bring a ball down in clutch situations because he extends and gets the ball at the highest point. That's something unafraid. That's something I'm seeing in training camp with Terrace Marshall that I love. Robbie Anderson does the same thing, but Robbie Anderson is a killer with speed. And this dude is making one-handed catches without any gloves in training camp, which I love to see. Robbie Anderson is making insane plays. He is without gloves in today's NFL. Like people go up and just get. But with Terrace Marshall and DJ Moore, the fact that they go up and jump for the ball, they extend their arms to get the ball, so that way the cornerback, that is what is going to make wide receivers successful in this league. And with Terrace Marshall's build, and he's only going to get bigger, and without as much on his plate so early on in his career, that's the main reason why I'm saying he has a chance to have a better NFL, or to have one of the better NFL careers as an LSU Tiger wide receiver from that Joe Burrow national championship team. And then we can't forget, this was a quiet pickup. I think we got him for a year, pretty cheap, that I really enjoyed. Out of Seattle, David Moore. Yeah. David Moore. He was like a wide receiver 3 or 4 in Seattle. One or 2 year, less than $10 million. He has speed. He has hands. Kind of like a Ted Ginn-esque receiver. He's not going to be, I don't believe, making as many plays as we'll see some of the other receivers on the team make. But once again, another core position group with a lot of depth and a lot of talent throughout that depth. And that's what makes me excited. But Terrace Marshall, I didn't realize how big he was, honestly, until I started seeing some of the training camp videos.
Well, like you said, he clocks in at 6'2", but he told reporters, hey, man, I'm actually 6'4". And I believe it because that is a big body wide receiver who's been running out of the 3 spot. They've been putting him in the slot. That's a big guy.
Exactly.
So I'm excited because that's just another weapon for Sam Darnold.
It's crazy. You have DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, 2 speedy receivers. You have Terrace Marshall, who's another big, speedy, physical receiver. And then behind him, you have Shi Smith and David Moore, Brandon Zylstra, who made a few appearances last year, made some catches in clutch 3rd down situations. Sam Darnold has the help there. I hope he can get it there. Sam Darnold has the Panthers did what fans wanted them to do since the first rebuild in 2009, 2010, 2011. And that's just get players and provide help. They have talent across multiple positions on both sides of the field. And it's young talent. It's talent that goes down the list on the depth chart. There's a lot of people that can be huge contributors to the success of this season. Of course, you have the solid anchors and DJ Moore, Robbie, Christian McCaffrey, Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, who kind of have to play good. Mm-hmm. They're expected. They are paid to play good every game. But you have a lot of these other guys that can just come up and be huge game changers for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We need these game changers. They need better picks because we've gone through a long, long line of bad wide receiver picks, from Kelvin Benjamin to Kerry Colbert that I don't think ever amounted to what he needed to be. There's just a long list of wide receivers that fell flat.
Russell Shepard, I don't know if we drafted him, but
yeah, he came in. It's hard to find the right pieces, and I think the Carolina Panthers are starting to put it together. And no one knows Terrace Marshall Jr. better than Joe Brady, who is running that offense at LSU. So if he has this much confidence in him, he knows what he's capable of. Josh Scott says 2 wide receivers with the last name Moore should be fun for the broadcasters. Yeah, can you imagine if David Moore, the offensive lineman, was still here and there was 3 Moores that we've talked about before?
But then you have wide receiver David Moore. You have DJ Moore. You got Sam Darnold, Dan Arnold.
Yeah, there's a
Peter
lot
Piper, pick the pickle pecker, all that crap. But the one thing with the Draft Confidential as well, Scott Fitterer, you have my full attention. You have my full attention, my full respect. Same with Matt Rule. It's like that was one thing that was really cool watching that video.
The Camp Confidential.
It was like the half hour. Yeah, or with the draft. I don't know if it's called Draft Confidential.
Yeah, behind the draft.
Yeah, to where you like the communication between the owner, the coach,
cool.
The general manager, like Scott Fitterer will just look over at Matt Rule. He's like, "You want to do it?" Matt Rule's like, "Let's do it." And they just have that trust, that confidence in each other. And they just went out and they got dogs.
Yeah,
they got dogs.
We only have a couple minutes left here in the live stream. Again, this is the All Access Podcast, your home, hopefully, for sports in the Queen City and the Carolinas. So if you have any questions, drop it in the chat before we get out of here. Follow us on social media. That's Mackie Gallagher. I am Brad M. Lee. You can follow All Access CLT on Twitter or on Instagram. But yeah, David Brown says Dan Arnold could have a sneaky good season. Excited to see him play. We talked about it earlier. I think Dan Arnold is that red zone threat that they're going to absolutely need. And I'm excited to see him play, take the field. What's up, man? I think you got your hand up there.
And I got my hand. Pick me. One thing that I saw from this video of the David Brown. I'm talking to you in the chat. One thing I saw from this video when the agent was pitching Dan Arnold to the Panthers, to Scott Fitterer, was if Dan Arnold was on the Panthers last year, he would have been second on the team in touchdown catches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like that just shows that his production with Arizona last year, if he was on the Panthers last year, he would have been number 2 with the amount of touchdowns caught on the team. Once I heard that in the video, I said, "You're a good salesman, bro." Like that, like when you say that, because they were lowballing a little bit, the Panthers were, according to this video, and the agent was like, "No, you can do better than that," and he said that, and I was like, "You can't really do you can't not like." Disagree with that, because that's exactly what it's a fact. Dan Arnold would have been a nice contributor to the Carolina Panthers this year or last year, and I think the front office saw it, and that's what the reason that they went out there and got him.
Yeah, you got to believe it. Sometimes you got to just write your own story, no matter how true it is. Spin it, make the most out of those facts, and he absolutely did that. He deserves a raise. That agent, the one agent that doesn't, would be what's his face, Dennis Schroeder, the
Dennis
agent.
Schroeder.
Who turned down
we got to say that.
4 years, $84 million.
Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, this is why you don't bet on yourself. Don't ever bet on yourself. Just keep a little low self-esteem, so that way you always won't ruin your life. No, I'm just messing. Always have great self-esteem. Yeah. But no, for those of you who don't know, Dennis Schroeder wanted $100+ million
from the Lakers.
He won $100+ million contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. They offered him 4-year, $86 million, something like that, and he said no. It wasn't enough. He wanted more. And then now he just signed with the Boston Celtics for 1 year, like $5.6 million.
With that squad that the Lakers put together, you would have ridden the pine to a championship game. Like you're set up for success to just be there, be a.
I mean,
body.
honestly, Schroeder at 4-year, $86 million after like the way he kind of played in the playoffs. I was kind of like,
yeah, exactly. Ain't nobody gonna be paying that. Josh Scott says, as an App State student, he feels bad saying it, but Armani Edwards, another wide receiver pick.
I know. Nick is pointing out a grammar flaw. I said you can't not disagree with that, which negated my point. But it's been a long day, Nick. It's been a long day. I ran out in the heat earlier. I'm a runner that has to tell you that I run.
Yeah, if y'all didn't know,
in the heat.
Mackie says he ran 5 miles today. I still don't believe it.
Hey, I got screenshots.
Screenshots of what? Yourself running?
Not screen, no, like the app I use.
Like Map My Run or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've turned into one of those people that got into running and now I have to tell everybody that I like running. I'm one of those assholes. So
one of those people.
I'm one of those people.
You real dirty. All right, guys, if you are still here and you missed the beginning of the show, you can watch the replay on YouTube. You can catch it on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you get your audio, you can find the All Access Podcast. So we appreciate you hopping in here. Nick, real quick, says Mackie ran 10 miles the other day. Never doubt this man. I find that hard to believe.
I did. I'll brag about that one. I'll say that. Oh, Nick Bass. I thought that was Nick Steichleather. My favorite Nick Bass. Well, what you doing, bro? All
Nick, right, I refuse to believe Mackie ran 10 miles the other day. Refuse.
All right, keep talking. Do your little outro as I pull up the screenshot.
No, that's it. If you have any last questions, get them in while Mackie pulls this up. We'll be getting out of here, but we are live every Thursday and Sunday at 8 p.m. It looks like it says, what is that, 12 miles? Oh, 13 minute 33, 2.
You see some 10 miles. You see 10 miles somewhere around there.
I feel kind of.
Let me see if I can.
I feel kind of good, but
there it is. 10 miles.
How many miles How many kilometers does an average footballer or soccer player run in a
I
match?
look like I'm from Belgium, bro? We use the metric system. I know miles. I don't know kilometers. I wish, because I want to visit Italy and I want to know how long it is to get someplace. I don't understand why we have to use different measurements. Why is everywhere Celsius and we're Fahrenheit? Who knows?
We don't even use
But
miles
how dare
here.
you ask me how many kilometers?
We use
are in a
hours
mile?
over
What
here.
kind of-
I'm just saying, I don't know how much they run. Like maybe it's 18 kilometers.
Maybe it's 18.
If you had to guess,
It
if
is
you had to guess,
measured in kilometers.
if you
to
had
be
to
honest.
guess what 18 kilometers is to miles, what would you think?
I'm gonna say. I don't even know what the conversion rate is. I'm gonna say 17. I'm gonna go one less than you.
18 kilometers to 17 miles?
No, I was saying that 10 miles. is
Oh, okay.
17
I got you.
kilometers.
Okay.
Don't make
Gotcha.
me sound that stupid.
I was
I'm trying
about
to
to
see if
say,
they have it on this app, but who knows?
Man. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get out of here. We're getting a little brain dead now. It's been a long day. Mackie ran his 5 miles. Together we ran about 5.5, so I feel good about that. But we are live every Thursday and Sunday, 8:00 right here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, so you can get more information for your Carolina Panthers and Charlotte Hornets. We'll have to talk about the Hornets next time because we didn't get into that. But we appreciate